Alright folks, welcome to another beer review, and we're going to a brewery that I've not really drank much of for a long time. I've definitely not had this beer for a long time. I may well have reviewed it back in the day, in the early days of the channel, but I just saw it tonight on a little trip to Asda. And you know when you just like see something, it's like when I had revisited, I've not reviewed it, but picked up a 4-pack of the Proper Job cans, and I was like, yeah, let's give that a go. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. What a wonderful beer that is. But I was just in Asda, the craft range, picked up some interesting ones. I mean, I've drank one of them, but I picked up a 4-can of Garden Brewery's Obala, just because I like the fact that they come with these. They're always useful. They had Siren's Reoccurring Dream Breakfast Stout. What else did we get? Oh, we also got from Guaylo, not sure how it's pronounced. I got the Stereo Tropical Hazy IPA, which I have a sneaky suspicion there's fruit in there. Vibe Citra, Vic Secret. No, thank God. Thank God there's no fruit in there. And I saw this. Although I will say, I'm not sure if they've just changed, like they've not advertised it as much, but my Asda seems to have stopped that multi-buy. You know, you get 4 for free, and everything's just been reduced on a can-by-can basis. That's my tea, and also my lunch for tomorrow. Just got some pre-made like chicken goujons, and then Asda's version of smiley faces, which are in a star shape, because I'm a 36-year-old man. I'm having chicken and shaped potatoes. Also got myself a bag of Alpha Bites as well, because the present's shit, the future's probably going to be shit, but there's positivity in the past. I jest, of course. Life's pretty okay at the moment. But yeah, very long-winded introduction. He's not even got to the beer. I haven't chilled this down as much as I wanted to, but I'm just in the mood to crack open another beer. And we're going over to Shepherd Neame, and we're having a look at the India Pale Ale, 6.1%. A classic. Beautiful artwork. I've always liked the artwork, although I think this is a rebrand that happened within the last sort of like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. I don't know. It's been that long since I've actually picked this up. 6.1% ABV. Shepherd Neame, fantastic brewery. Go ship, wonderful, especially if you find it on cask. Awesome. And plus Broadside, English Strong Ale, fantastic example of the style. And yeah, I don't know why I've not revisited this. It's been a hell of a long time. Don't know how good the quality is of the bottle, how long it's been sat on the shelf. But I thought, nice classic IPA from a brewery that I'm a big fan of. A massive shout out to the man of Kent himself, Ken Beer Reviews. I must either pick up a mini keg or some cans of Go Ship, because that's a really good beer. Anyway, let's get this poured and see what we get. Can't remember anything about this, but I'm guessing it's going to be more along the lines of like an old school British IPA. Could have done some basic research on Untapped, but I didn't. Or it could be like a really sort of like old school British take on a West Coast like IPA. Like I said, been a hell of a long time, but I thought I'm just interested to give it a try. Anyway, beer in the glass then, and a beautiful coppery amber colour. Nice amount of clarity. Slightly sort of like light beige looking head. Looking exactly like you'd expect it to do, to be honest, and what I remember it looking like. Can't remember what it smells or tastes like, because there's been a hell of a lot of beers since then. But yeah, it's just sometimes good to go back to these sorts of beers. I don't know how the recipe's evolved over the, like, even the last 5 or 6 years, but we shall see. Anyway, it looks really, really nice. Almost has some like cranberry-esque hues to it. Looks a bit more on the brownier side on camera. So on the nose, I mean, it's not like distinctly hoppy by any stretch. There's almost like a sort of like vanilla character coming through. A little bit nutty, like a, a slightly caramelized nut aroma. There's this, I'm not going to lie, slightly caramel-like aroma coming out of it as well, which reminds me a little bit of like diacetyl. That's a flavour profile or an off flavour that you don't really hear about much nowadays. Obviously, beers in cans, you preserve the beer a lot better, don't you, than you do in bottles. Plus supermarkets, when it comes to bottled beer, you don't know how long it's been sat on the shelf. But you know, you become aware of that. There's like a slight sweet marmaladiness, almost with like, dare I say it, a bit of clove in there. Like a spice, slightly spiced marmalade. I mean, I am getting a bit of like a resiny sort of hop character coming through. It's got that slight, gives you an inclination of an oiliness almost. I mean, what I'm smelling is nice, but it's definitely, as you would expect, a little bit more on the malty side, which I think is where I'm getting those slightly nuttier, sweeter aromas from. But it smells good. It smells good. Let's give it a taste. Cheers. I don't know if it's the case, but there is a little bit of a slight diacetyl-esque character there. There's a very subtle off flavour, but the flavours around it give you an idea of what that beer is supposed to taste like. That being said, doesn't taste too sort of like stale. Do you know what I mean? A little slightly raspy. Anyway, let's give it another taste. There is a sticky, like resiny, oily character coming through. I think with IPAs of this nature, when they're getting to a bit of a higher ABV, it's not as masked as a lot of contemporary IPAs are. Lovely bitterness on the back end, like really nice, classic West Coast-esque bitterness. Nothing too major, but definitely there. Finish is just dry enough that you kind of want to go in for another sip, which is exactly what I'm going to do. There's a bit of muskiness there. The bittering hops are prevalent. You know, that's one of the fundamental flavours I'm getting, or characteristics. A little bit nutty, a little bit of a cakey-like sweetness. In terms of a malt profile, it's really, really satisfying actually. But I don't think you're going to go into a beer like this expecting a big, bold, like in-your-face, hoppy flavour. Because I think it harkens back to when IPAs were heavily hopped for the preservation of that beer on the travel, you know, around the empire. Because it is a little bit leafy, a little bit grassy. Like, you almost get that sensation of a pack of made and washed baby leaf salad that's got like a bit of spinach, rocket. That's not to say it's like a vegetable medley of a mess, you know, like some beers can be when there are off flavours. I definitely think on this specific occasion, if it was just chilled down a little bit more and I was a little bit more patient, I probably could have just done a review of the breakfast stout because, you know, you don't necessarily have to chill that down. So there's definitely something there. I don't think this is 100% like a positive representation of what this beer should be. But you can overlook those sort of like storage flaws, if you will. And you can see what this beer is. It's an old school English style IPA. The hoppiness sort of comes out more the more you drink it. The bitter and hops are really, really nice. It's a very satisfying flavour profile is the bitterness. A relatively light body for its ABV, which just makes it that little bit more drinkable. And you know what? I think if I was to get a fresher bottle of this, or to have it on tap on a well-kept line, I think this would be a pretty damn... I mean, it's as it is, it's a damn solid IPA. You know, I've only uploaded videos where I either like the beer and have something to say about it, or if I really don't like the beer and there's something to say about it. This is like, you can tell the quality is there. I just think, unfortunately, I've got a little bit of a dodgy bottle of this. But I've gone past that point now of, you know, like the great Terry Kay once said, never get the bottle that's at the front of the, you know, the shelf. Always go a few bottles behind. I didn't do that on this occasion. I can't find the best before on this, but I don't think this is a fresh bottle by any stretch. It's probably been overlooked, especially with the more, and like Asda's collaboration craft beers that they've been doing, which I did buy a few. I don't think I reviewed any of them, but they were pretty solid. What are they called? Not Turning Point. Not a big fan of Turning Point beers. What are they called now, out of Newcastle? They did a double IPA. And that was very, very good, especially for a supermarket beer, because there's always that. It can't just be a good, like, example of a, you know, a craft beer, can it? You've always got to say, oh, well, I did get it from the supermarket. Who cares? I bore myself talking about this. You buy what you want to buy. You can afford what you want to afford. You make those conscientious decisions. Multiple factors come into it. You know, you can pick up some newer offerings in the supermarkets, and in that same sort of like trip, there might be a bottle shop nearby where you spend that little bit more and tend to get a lot more disappointed. I'm going to get more disappointed by putting down like upwards of £5 to £6 for some like 5% ABV IPAs from a craft beer bottle shop than I am from a supermarket. But then again, I'm playing into that, well, it is only a supermarket beer, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite in that regard. I think the whole supermarket discussion is fucking boring. You're not a better person for the industry because you solely will support, you know, bottle shops. I mean, you technically are, because the money's directly going back to, you know, that bottle shop and then the brewers who they've bought the beers off. But don't get all fucking high and mighty over it, because at the end of the day, not everyone can do a craft beer haul every week. Do you know what I mean? And I've pretty much for the last few months done treating myself to a Tremble of Madness order, and I'd say a good 70% of the beers that I've actually drank and reviewed, I've not uploaded them because I've been really disappointed and slightly angry at some of the prices that I've paid. But that's the risk you take, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, do you know what it's like, right? I'm not going to judge anyone who uses things like Ozempic or other medical things like that. But do you remember when there was that big boom, and rightfully so, of like the body positivity influencers, right? Who were like saying you should be just comfortable in your own skin, doesn't matter how big or small you are, which is right, and I fully agree with that. There's nothing more attractive, regardless of how what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it doesn't matter how subjectively attractive or unattractive someone is, if that person feels good about themselves, then is there anything more attractive than that? Right? And this is coming from someone who fucking makes jokes about his weight all the time. Already my eyes are diverted to the shadows and the lumps forming with my tits. This t-shirt sometimes turns into the Unknown Pleasures album artwork from Joy Division because of how misshapen I am. But do you know what I mean? But when you see a lot of these body positivity, like celebrities and influencers, just all of a sudden start taking like weight loss medicine or Ozempic or comparative, injections, pills, whatever. And it's like, you fucking pieces of shit. You've built a following and you've built, that. How have we gone on to this discussion? I've completely forgot, but I'm going to stick to it. I think I've been wanting to say this for a little while. But it's like, that being said, I'm one of these people, and like fans of a celebrity get outraged because they do something or go, oh, my daughter's a fan of that. I can't believe they've done that on stage. It's like, don't let your children have celebrities as role models. You should be your child's role model. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, how can you, like, in one point, get a following by having this really positive message and then just slapping everyone in the face by just going down that path? Do you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that because it works for a lot of people. And there's a level of risk to it. So, I'm not one of these people who goes, oh, that's cheating, because it's not. Sometimes you have to make those drastic steps. Sometimes you have to get a gastric band. Sometimes you have to go cold turkey and then start a really harsh regime of health and workout and dieting and things like that. It's a hard thing to do. And that's just me, who's tried to attempt for a few days to be a bit of a healthier person. But yeah, I realised what I've done. It's that trope. It's become a trope on the videos. It's like these people who... The words leave my head when I put the camera on. But the gatekeeping and this, even now, this, oh, I'm much better than you because I bought this beer directly from the brewery, and it's like, I've supported my local bottle shop for 2 years. It's like, great, that's great. Fantastic. You're a pillar to the craft beer community. Without you, everything would crumble. But you know what? Sometimes, even if you can afford it, sometimes you're just intrigued by new beers in the supermarket. That's how a lot of us got into this. Do you know what I mean? So when people get, I don't know, it's just this whole fucking gatekeepy, wanky attitude. And it doesn't annoy me because my life goes on. I don't think about these people when I'm trying to go to bed. Some individuals I do when I look at their Instagram pages, but that's a different story. But do you know what I mean? It's like, come on, let people drink what they want to drink. Yeah, you might be a bit more supportive by just avoiding supermarkets, but at the same time, you shit and piss like the rest of us. My food's probably gone to have gone cold. Anyway, I really like that. The more I'm drinking it, the more I can overlook the slight off flavours that I'm picking up. But I know that that's not from the beer itself. It's the fact that it's probably been sat on that shelf. I've probably walked past that beer over the last few months when I've popped into Asda. I don't like Asda. I think it's fundamentally one of the shittest supermarkets ever. So I've probably physically seen this exact bottle on the shelf multiple times over the last few months. But I'm glad I picked it up. I'd definitely give it another try. Hopefully get a bit of a fresher bottle. But yeah, I think it's good. It's just nice to refresh the palate by drinking IPAs like this and beers like this in general. Because I remember when I was first, like Tesco's to me was like the first supermarket that was really trying to push this, and much better deals back then than there are now. And I remember this beer always being there. And I've had it a few times. I've not had it for a long time. I might have done a review of this in the past. If I remember to do so, link will be in the description. But yeah, it's a good classic beer from a very, very established, I mean, it's Britain's oldest brewery, and they're still going around now. Still knocking out fantastic beers. Ghost Ship, fundamentally one of the best pale ales available. And yeah, this is good. It's a good classic. Gives you a bit of a refresher on the palate. And yeah, just make sure you get a bit of a fresher bottle, that's all. And I feel like, even though I've not said anything bad about people who take like Ozempic, because I know a lot of people who are taking things like Ozempic and other weight loss injections and medicines, and it's working wonders for them. I will never begrudge anyone. I got a bit serious then, didn't I? I will never begrudge anyone for doing that. If it works for you and it makes you feel better about yourself, that's fucking amazing. I just wanted to say that. Anyway, I've said too much. My food's going cold. I still need to put more chicken in for my lunch tomorrow. And it is now 11 o'clock on a Friday, and I've got to work on a Saturday. How fucking shit is that when we've got the worst heat ever for like a million years? That's what it feels like. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, opinions down below. Made a bubble of spit then. And yeah, cheers for watching. Shepherd Neame, fantastic brewery. All the information in the description. And yeah, bye.